Most people spend years working towards a number. For a lot of people, that number might be $2 million of net worth, or $5 million, or even $10 million. Not because someone told them it was the right number, but because somewhere along the way, it became a milestone that felt like enough. Like if you could just get there, stress would ease, decisions would get simpler, and financial anxiety would finally quiet down. Until you get there, and something unexpected happens. One of the great philosophers of our time, Biggie, said, more money, more problems. The stress doesn't disappear. The decisions don't get simpler. The anxiety doesn't quiet down. If anything, it shifts into something new, something nobody warned them about. I'm going to focus today on the $2 million net worth number specifically. And here's what actually happens at $2 million that no one talks about. And this just isn't a bigger version of what came before, at $1 million or 500,000. The rules truly are different. The opportunities are different. The tax dynamics are different. The investment vehicle options are different. All in all, the risks at this level are just different. And the strategy that built this wealth, the one that worked perfectly to get you here, is no longer the right strategy to protect and grow it. See, most people don't know that. And it's the not knowing that's really the most expensive mistake you can make at this level. And that's what this video is about. Before we get into really changes at $2 million, let's talk about what it actually means and the reality shift that starts to happen. First and foremost, there's a passive reality. $2 million could be just put into a 5% muni bond, generate $100,000 a year tax-free, passive. So there's really a certain freedom unlocked that definitely happens at this level. However, the reality of the daily ups and downs take away from that. At $2 million, a 1% market move can be 20 grand in a single day, or a 5% correction can be $100,000 in a week. That does create a bit of a tenser, more challenging feel when you have this kind of money and you have the ups and downs. But at the same time, the compound acceleration is real. Your money is now growing at a faster and faster rate. 5 and 10 million actually becomes somewhat reachable in your mind, even though before it was just a big dream. But the biggest shift in reality is you're in a new club. Certain things become possible. The second home, bigger spending, private investments, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It's really a large fork in the road that I think most people handle blindly. So now that you know this, let's actually talk about the 5 things that change. First and foremost, your relationship with work. All of a sudden, work isn't just about income. There is truly a wealth consideration. It might be the value of my business. It might be how big my 401k could get because of this match. Or, hey, I've got equity comp through this company. And there's just truly a wealth recognition, in my opinion, that clicks in at this level that we don't see at the levels below it. There is a bit of this push-pull that starts to happen with how you feel about time. It's very fleeting. Kids are growing up, or they have grown up, and you realize I need to use my time differently. Health becomes a different focus. And so $2 million can be a very interesting shift psychologically for folks. But let's go to a more tactical level, which is number 2. Your tax strategy needs to be completely rebuilt. This is the one that surprises people the most. That they assume that the tax strategy that have worked along the way still works at $2 million. It doesn't. Things are different. The vehicles are different. The opportunities are different, especially for optimization. The cost of not knowing that is almost 6 figures annually. The other reality within this that you have to actually start to take into account is you're headed likely for permanent high tax brackets. See, most people have built their planning around this idea that their bracket is here. It's going to be reduced later when they stop working. The challenge, though, is that wealth and income both create taxes. We actually model this out for folks. They're consistently surprised to learn this. Here's a great example. 401k contributions. They've been doing pre-tax up to this point. A lot of that $2 million probably is 401k money. The problem is when we model this, it often tells us that it's actually costing them more in taxes to do pre-tax when they thought it was saving them in taxes. That wasn't true when they were younger and at $500,000 of net worth. It truly is a new game. The other reality is you can't have a quiet CPA. You can't just have someone doing your taxes. There is truly a need for tax planning baked into an annual cadence for you. It's not to set it and forget it, of do a return and call it a day, which I think is a really good tee up for number 3. Your investment strategy needs to evolve from accumulation to optimization. You've probably gotten here with a bit of a set it and forget it mindset. Put money into something good, let it grow. But all of a sudden, things have changed. Just like I talked about the permanency of likely high tax brackets, we have to recognize there's a permanency in some of the investment decisions you make, such as if I've been buying this nice growing mutual fund for 10 years in my brokerage account, and now I'm realizing that it's costing me thousands of dollars a year in fees and taxes, I can't just undo that. Or if I've been buying a stock, let's say NVIDIA, and it's obviously done very, very well, that potato is starting to feel real hot for a lot of folks. And it becomes a really big deal to sell it, to have tax considerations that creates a permanency in how we have to think about investing, especially in brokerage accounts. So we have to start thinking in this optimized fashion, where right dollars in the right accounts invested with a permanency in mind in order to win the long game. An important rabbit hole that I mentioned earlier is private investments. You're now in the club, and so you're going to start to be lured by the shiny objects, the shiny investments. I say buyer beware. You're going to be at some soccer game and you're going to have some guy tell you, I'm raising capital for some private investment opportunity, some real estate development. You want to get in? I'll send you the pitch deck. Most pitch decks are just recycled toilet paper. They're always going to look amazing when you read them, but they truly are as valuable as toilet paper and should be used as such. Most of these investments are flying dog crap. I'm not anti-private investments, but what we are seeing is that people are being lured into so many different vehicles and things that aren't actually producing value to their balance sheet, certainly not value that translates into funding their goals. Now, there are investment opportunities that you might want to consider, and we talk about those with clients at this level, line of credits, direct indexing, long-short investing, where I'm using tax strategy and investment strategy together. Those things aren't bad, but private investments are concerning. At this level, your investment strategy needs to be thought much deeper than set it, forget it, or shiny object. A quick note, if you're approaching $2 million and you're recognizing your own financial picture in any of what we've covered, that's exactly the conversation that we have every single day. If you'd like us to take a look at your situation, here's a link in the description below. Book a call. Now, let's talk about the next biggest shift that happens after you hit this milestone. Difference number 4, your estate plan is no longer optional. We meet a lot of folks really at any net worth. It could be $50 or $100 million of net worth, and they don't have an estate plan or it's very out of date. And that becomes a really important part of the overall plan, getting that dialed in. They're seeing TikTok videos that say everything should be in a trust. So should I have a trust? And it becomes a bit of a overwhelming process that needs to be executed and simplified to just align with their goals. But it's not optional anymore. There are tax considerations that are magnifying and greater and greater and greater at this level that we don't want to mess up. And that really leads in all of his points to number 5. The complexity of your financial life now requires coordination, not just management. By the time you've hit $2 million in net worth, you've typically accumulated pretty significant complexity. There's multiple accounts. Maybe there's multiple advisors, got business interests or equity comp. Maybe there's real estate. The estate plan hasn't been updated or never set up. Someone sold you insurance along the way, and it's all being managed separately. None of it is being optimized together. And that's really almost always the most expensive thing in your financial life, believe it or not. That tees up well, I think, this visual image that we love to use with clients. I show it in so many of my videos because I think it really resonates with folks. They have all of these major components in their financial life that are not talking to each other. But what should they be talking to? What does that even mean? That's where goals are the compass. If we don't have all of those things centered around our goals in a full picture plan, we're just leaking. We're just giving away money. We're giving it to the IRS. We're giving it to underperformance. We're probably giving it away in the form of stress. Coordination to create optimization is critical at this level. Here's what I see that happens all the time at this milestone because the stakes really are getting higher. If someone hits $2 million, I mean, they feel it kind of, Certainly the number's real, but peace of mind, where are you, is unfortunately a reality for a lot of these folks. So here's what I want to leave you with. $2 million is now at the finish line. It's actually very, very dangerous to make the finish line a net worth number. I've seen too many horror stories. What is important is that we create coordination that generates peace of mind. We've got to reduce the complexity. And that's not a small shift. That's a fundamental change, affects what's possible for you financially. Comes with the responsibility that most people at this milestone weren't prepared for. Now, everything we've covered today is the framework, the rules that change at $2 million and the decisions that matter, traps to avoid. But frameworks only mean so much until you see them applied to a real situation with real numbers. So in the next video, I'm actually going to walk through a live case study of someone with $2.5 million at 65. So you can see, well, what does this actually look like in the end in a real financial situation? It's going to be fun. I'll see you there.